Good afternoon and a very warm welcome back to Carlton Cornwall in Auckland for the second of the finals at the Summerset National Singles and Pairs. It is the men's pairs decider between two combinations we have already seen today. It is Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers out of the Royal Oak Club in Auckland up against Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill, the composite pairing. So impressive in the quarterfinal we saw earlier today. And then Bradshaw and Carruthers, that last gasp victory over the Bay of Plenty combination of Dan Dickerson and Nicholas Tomset in the semi-finals just under a half an hour ago. It's been a quick turnaround, but now we are into it. First end of 18 of the men's pairs final. Brenton Vinisroy alongside Kevin Hicklin. We will have the call for this one. Straight away we saw, before we started the broadcast, Kevin, Carruthers try to go short, just like they did successfully at the end of the men's pairs semi-final against Dickerson and Tomset. This time went too short, and it was thrown back.
Certainly was, and they sort of played that card pretty quickly by knowing what length they were going to play, because when John Carruthers played those three magnificent bowls on the 18th end of the semi-final against Dan Dickerson and drew three very adjacent to the jack on a really, really short end. And there is a wee bit more breeze out there than what one thinks, actually. I'm just walking around by the trees there. Not that it makes a great difference, Brendan, but to try and draw within centimetres, which Dan Dickerson was trying to do, was just the challenge was a wee bit too much. But Mike Bradshaw, he certainly played some big shots in that game that could have spelt the end quite early on for them, but came through. And as you rightly said, the game we had this morning with Jamie Hill and Lance Pasco, they were very dominant against the Southland combination, and had a pretty hard game really for most of the game against Pat Houlihan, and we know all about the Bradshaw Carruthers combination. So here is Lance Pasco, very well performed player from Elmwood Park, running into a short bowl there. That looked like a Jamie Hill bowl that it ran into, in fact, and it was.
So that was rather fortuitous. Working out well for the composite pairing of Pasco and Hill.
And it's interesting, the last Nationals, of course, the fours in Tauranga, we did the commentary. Brendan and Jamie Hill, of course, was on one side, the Gary Lawson side, Lance Pasco on the other side, extra end, and it was the Gary Lawson side with Jamie Hill in there, and giving Jamie Hill his third New Zealand title and denying Lance Pasco of his first national title.
Yeah, back-to-back finals, though, for both of these individuals. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. And, of course, remembering that Lance Pasco's partner, Mandy, she was in the final of the singles yesterday. So let's wait and see whether they can go at one more, as we see now a couple, because Lance Pasco, with his second bowl, drew into the head. Mike Bradshaw having that long look at what shot to play.
Yeah, for those of you who have been with us all day here on Sky Sport Next, you've seen the pace that Jamie Hill and Lance Pasco like to play at. On the flip side, Bradshaw and Carruthers are very deliberate. They take their time on the mat. They assess the head before playing their bowls. And it's got rid of one of the bowls out of the head.
Pushed this, what was the second shot out of the head. And Jamie Hill saying to Lance Pasco, the former West Coaster, of course part of the Elmwood Saints side. And the bowl's 3-5.
Yeah, so it's another final also for Elmwood Park, isn't it?
It is. Good crowd in here at Carlton. Absolutely. I had a walk around before out there, Brendan. It's absolutely perfect conditions out there, isn't it? Sure, there's a bit of a breeze got up there now looking at the flag, but overall, it's absolutely magnificent condition.
And the breeze is more a welcome relief, I think.
It is, actually.
From the heat. Very hot, even just in the club rooms where we're broadcasting from. 1 to Pasco and Hill. Barry Green, one of the club members here of Carlton Cornwall. providing the lollipops. So Pasco and Hill on the board first in this men's pairs final. 1-0 they lead Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers.
And just while this jack's being delivered, is any bowlers in around the Auckland area that would like to help out Bowls New Zealand tomorrow? We've got the men's singles qualifying underway tomorrow around the greens of Auckland, and they still would be most welcome to some markers, a few markers at both Sunnybray and New Lynn. So if there's
on the North Shore or in West Auckland.
Yep. So if there's any bowlers out there that would want to donate a few hours to Bowls New Zealand to help out and assist in marking in the men's qualifying of the singles, if they had to contact Bowls New Zealand, contact Chris Landers, they would be most welcome and appreciative.
And there's no better place to watch top quality bowls, and who knows who you might end up marking. It'll be a great way to learn or watch some of the very best, some of our country's best. So, yeah, obviously it's a competition which needs volunteers to make it happen. So if you are able to lend a few hours, that would be very much appreciated. So the Sunnybray and New Lynn clubs in particular.
Well, volunteers bring in an event such as this. Well, it doesn't matter what the sport is. They do an absolutely outstanding job right throughout the duration, whether it be catering or the greens or cleaning up, all sorts of things. It just, they do an outstanding job.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, it's just not possible that these events can actually operate without them. So a chance to thank all the volunteers who make the Summerset National Singles and Pairs possible.
And I think this game is going to come down to how the leads control the head. Because we saw this morning Jamie Hill in absolutely sublime form in the game against the Southland combination. Of course, we didn't see his second game, but we saw Hill at his best in that game, and we did see in the John Carruthers Mike Bradshaw game against Dan Dickinson that John Carruthers did have a few struggling ends, and if Jamie Hill can continue his fine form we saw earlier on today, and Lance Pasco's conversions, it certainly sets them up well. And then we saw Bradshaw, of course, played a number of rescue shots successfully.
It certainly did. Bradshaw played superbly in that semi-final against Dan Dickinson and Nicholas Tomsett. Dickinson will feel very unlucky though not to be in the final the way he played likewise. And in the end it was actually that final end where I don't know who made the call, whether it was Carruthers or Bradshaw, but they pulled the jack way back, very short end, and John Carruthers was the one who stepped up, delivered with all three of his bowls, and the Bay of Plenty combination of Dickinson and Tomsett could just not respond.
Well, he certainly, and the good thing was he didn't pepper them all around the jack, which they could have driven at. He had them. There was three bowls within a metre, but in all different areas, and on a slippery green at 17.5, 18 seconds, to try and draw in those conditions, it's a big ask. And John Carruthers, I think, more than likely said to Mike Bradshaw, look, I'll decide the length for you and I'll do the job for you, and that he duly did.
Yeah, it certainly did. Delivered when it was needed most. They picked up 3 on that final end to win 15-14, and an absolute heart stopper of a semi-final. Is looking on target here. Pasco unfortunately didn't get it clean and take it with him, but still has certainly changed the situation. Bradshaw having to change his line, his weight.
So Mike Bradshaw on this, the second end of 18.
Waves this one off. You can tell if it's a bad one. He doesn't give much away if it's a good one, but if it's a bad one, he'll certainly say on the mat.
Very descriptive to give us an idea of where what the bowl looks like. We know, as Brendan rightly said, when it's not a good one, and that one wasn't. So here's now Lance Pasco on the forehand. Jamie Hill said just try and draw through this port, which looks as though he's going to do. This looks on a good line to the centre line and count, and it will.
Oh, that's a great bowl. Great call by Jamie Hill. Well executed by Lance Pasco. It's certainly appearing, working in sync. Sometimes it doesn't look like Bradshaw and Carruthers are in sync, but it works.
It works.
Whatever they're doing, it certainly worked. They've got all the way to the National Men's Pairs final.
Now Bradshaw trying to come under the line to the jack. And he's not far away, especially
he's going to get a nice little slide off that bowl, and that'll be the shot now. After touching the jack. So a bit of fortune.
Certainly played that narrow line to run towards the jack, and I'm picking that we'll see Lance Pasco will play a similar sort of line to either play up to the bowl or the jack. Yeah, he certainly brought that line in, Brendan, not out on that wider draw line. But it's going to be, well, it depends what happens here. He needs to get past that. Yeah, he gets to the jack. Oh, and the bowl stays alive, and it's gone dead. It's gone dead. So
I think that blue bowl is the back bowl. So, yeah, one signalled by Carruthers to skip Bradshaw. So Bradshaw now will look to draw to the ditch, and he's got plenty of room. He should be able to draw a couple of metres within the ditch. That should be enough for the shot. As long as the line's not too far off where the jack is. It's just making your way around all the short stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's going to get through this front port, but then it's not going to hit the other front bowls. And
so just the one.
He'll be disappointed with that.
So all tied up in this men's pairs final here at Carlton Cornwall in Auckland. And Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers on the board. It's 1-1 against Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill. Second of our title matches yesterday. We had Nicole Toomey of the Victoria Club in Wellington beating Mandy Boyd of Elmwood Park in Christchurch in a very high quality women's singles final. And we hope this men's pairs final some way meets the drama and quality we had in that contest.
Well, we certainly saw that. You know, it was interesting looking on social media last night, the number of people that were talking about that last bowl that Nicole Toomey played, where she played through the port holding the shot and got a drag on the jack and turned it into 4 shots. And a lot of people talking about it was a magnificent shot by the young Victorian player. And the other thing is, Brendan and I spoke about this morning, it also gave Victoria Bowling Club in Wellington yet another title, and that's 8 consecutive years now there's been a title of some discipline that has gone to that Wellington club, which is an outstanding achievement for the Victoria Club.
You think about all the clubs that start these nationals, and it's not that many national titles up for grabs. To win at least one 8 years in a row is quite phenomenal for any club.
And the other interesting thing in this final is we don't see it that often. We've actually got a club combination in John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw playing together. And, predominantly we see composite sides. There's a club combination.
Yeah, and 2 players I assume Jamie Hill should know quite well.
Yes, he would have, because in fact, I think at one stage, well, Jamie's played a number of clubs, so's Mike Bradshaw, and so's John Carruthers. So more than likely, sometime they might have been in the same club together. I'm not 100% sure of that, but they've certainly played in a few clubs. But definitely part of the Royal Oak Club. See John Carruthers, another good bowl here from Carruthers. It's 2 very good bowls to open this third end.
Yeah, and Jamie Hill play a lot of his bowls in Auckland. Pretty much all of it, so we'll know these 2 veterans of the Auckland scene, Bradshaw and Carruthers, as is Hill.
Great bowl here from Jamie Hill, just draws a side touch, it just gets a kiss on the jack.
Yeah, unfortunate not to get it clean and to take it over to that right hand side of the screen and certainly make shot of it.
So the left hander with the Panama, John Carruthers, the former tug master. There's that stalking walk.
This usually means it's quite good.
It normally does, doesn't it?
And he is good. Has he got the
He's
jack?
got the jack, yes.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, when you see that stalking walk, as Kevin Hickland calls it, it's going to be a good one. We learned that from the previous match when he played a couple of very good bowls. That's his little give where this man, you never know if it's a good bowl or a bad bowl. Most likely it's going to be a good one because of his quality.
He's ice.
But he does not give anything away. There's Jamie Hill.
Trying to get down to the Carruthers bowl. And it'd be laying 2 shots. Oh no, just the 1 shot they'd be holding at this stage, the Carruthers and Bradshaw combination. And it's very warm out there this afternoon. It's temperature this afternoon certainly climbed up. I don't know what it would be in the mid-20s out there.
Yeah, comfortably I'd say. Feel hotter out in the green, no doubt as well.
So Michael Bradshaw, whose his first club would have been at Ellerslie Bowling Club. Now, of course, at Royal Oak on the backhand is Michael Bradshaw holding the shot in 3 of 18. Of course, also on right now around the greens of Auckland is the first day of section play of the women's pairs. And they'll play 3 rounds today and a further 3 rounds tomorrow. And it's 4 out of 6 to qualify for post-section play. And here's Lance Pasco on the search, trying to get to that counting bowl. Just going to, doesn't quite tip the Bradshaw bowl over.
Yeah.
Here's on the hunt though is Lance Pasco for that bowl.
And unlike what we saw in section play for the men's pairs and the women's singles, there's going to be no doubt we're going to get through all of section play. Weather's not going to affect things the way they are today and forecast to be tomorrow.
So here now is the bowl of Mike Bradshaw's, just went through the head. Again, I'm sure Lance Pasco will endeavour to reach what is the shot bowl or get some movement on the jack. He's on a wider line this time. Is it going to come back far enough? Does it get a feather and go onto the bowl? Yes, it does. Rolls it out. That'll make shot of it, I would say.
He got a bit of fortune, didn't he, on that wider bowl. That tracked it right to the jack and the shot. Carruthers having a look at things. I think that is the shot bowl now for Pasco.
Certainly, you'd have thought it was because it got movement towards the jack.
Carruthers giving a few instructions to Bradshaw. Bradshaw taking them in and now delivering.
On the drive. Now,
he's knocked out a couple of his own. So now I think they're holding a couple. Now what are Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill looking at? This is rare. You don't see this too often that they have a mid-green conversation and inspect the head.
I think there's a 4-shot chance there. Coming down on that draw to where that John Carruthers bowl is, to 3-shot chance, sorry, because that blue bowl there of Michael Bradshaw's, and that's the shot that he's looking at. Definitely looks like they're laying 2 at this stage, Brenton.
Yeah, certainly 2. Just how can they make this even tougher for Bradshaw and Carruthers?
So on the backhand, Lance Pasco will try and thread the needle.
Final bowl of the third end.
It's on the wide side. Jamie Hill flexing, just going to break my ankle. Look at this, he rocked the bowl.
That's a great effort from Lance Pasco. Hands on head, and there you go. There's some emotion from Jamie Hill. Not on his bowl, but on Lance Pasco's, because Lance Pasco was not far away from knocking away that Carruthers bowl. But it is 2. The lollipops go up 2 to Pasco and Hill. So 3-1. 3-1, Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill leading Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers after 3 of the 18 ends.
So there's some conversation going up there with Jamie Hill and...
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the
I don't know what that
discussion was
all
about. Had the mat gone missing or something?
I don't know. So Jack's been delivered. 3/4 length head. Move it across to that centre line. Big compliment here to the greenkeeping staff at Carlton Cornwall, because they certainly present the whole complex in a very, very high class facility. Greens, the whole garden, shrubbery, everything. It's certainly very, very well presented.
Well, we're lucky enough to have broadcast a few international events, and certainly this is international standard, isn't it? Here you could host an international tournament at Carlton Cornwall.
You're right, Brendan. We've been fortunate with some of the clubs on the Gold Coast and some of the great clubs of the Gold Coast, but this Carlton Cornwall club loses absolutely nothing in that regard to those Australian clubs, because it's certainly the way how it's prepared and presented certainly is up there with them for sure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful setting as well.
Superb.
With all the trees and behind the Alexandra Park end. We're looking towards the players are currently bowling from, Jamie Hill and John Carruthers, playing towards the club rooms. Relatively new facility, of course. New club rooms here in recent years following the merger of the Carlton and Cornwall clubs.
Of course, they had the merging process had a very unfortunate fire, which resulted from that a new club rooms was built, and it destroyed a good part of what was the old Cornwall Park Bowling Club. So here now is Jamie Hill trying to find that line on that backhand side, just hung out a bit wide for what he would normally like, and same again here, and certainly pretty good weight, but fortunately for the Pasco side, John Carruthers has played 2 short bowls, so at this stage it is the Pasco Hill combination who's holding the shot. John Carruthers with his little backhand flick. There was no stalk with that one.
Oh, but this isn't a bad bowl though. Certainly better than his first 2.
It'll be shot.
Pretty much on that centre line. 1.5 foot short. Good effort from Carruthers with his 3rd. And great consistency as far as his line was, Carruthers. You can see there 3 pretty much all on the centre line.
All on the centre line they are.
Which is what we'd usually expect more from Jamie Hill. He wasn't quite able to sort his line on this 4th end.
Interesting. Yeah, Lance Pasco. He's gone to the forehand, which I think Pasco might think is a bit kinder on that draw. This looks pretty good. This bowl of Lance Pasco's as it now breaks towards that jack, sits right on top of it, and I just think that does look the kind of draw coming down towards the clubhouse, and Lance Pasco certainly proved that point.
Yeah, great bowl though. Still had to execute, and did. And Carruthers will look to follow him down on that forehand side. So a half decent line as well. Maybe question the weight a bit. It's just going to slide through.
Great attempt.
Very good attempt. Was not far off grabbing that jack.
Pasco with his 2nd, and there's the 4th of 18. Oh, that's got that fist pump. And
yeah, I think that's almost Mandy Boyd like, isn't it? Trying to slow it down, but slightly different. He just wasn't happy with that one coming out. Doesn't find the worst home though.
Count where it's sitting just adjacent to the shot.
Was he worried maybe of that one changing the head, was he?
May have been a bit fearful of brushing into that front bowl and opening their head up for Mike Bradshaw. And Bradshaw again following that line of Lance Pascoe's. This is on a good line. This bowl, is it going to get that jack? How unlucky was that?
Oh, another fine effort. Both of Bradshaw's effort have been quite brilliant, and that's just unlucky.
Got the jack on the draw and just caressed it round the corner to where the other Hill and Pascoe bowl was sitting. So Lance Pascoe now playing his third bowl on that forehand. See, definitely got a good break to the centre line on this forehand. You can see that just working its way back. That's well played by Lance Pascoe. That'll count for sure.
It's been some very good bowls played, and Mike Bradshaw must be thinking, how am I down 3 on the head here?
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see the idea of Bradshaw looking to play with weight on the backhand, reaching up through those bowls. It's exactly what he's doing, trying to get down to the jack. What happens off this front bowl is the issue, and of course that's one of the bowls of Pasco and Hill.
So is it 4? I think
Could
Jamie
well
Hill
be.
just pointed out that bowl out to the right. Is that a 4th for Pasco and Hill? So the 3 bowls just behind the jack, they're all counters. Now Hill measuring out to this 4th. Carruthers just waved his hands. I don't know if that was to say yes, it was 3.
Marker man.
I think he's put 3 up. Yeah, 3 lollipops have gone up. Sometimes it's a bit hard to see the blue lollipops, but 3 more for Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill. So 6-1. They now lead after 4 of 18 ends. This men's pairs decider here at Carlton, Cornwall and Auckland at these Summerset National Singles and Pairs.
Well played though by Lance Pascoe on the end. Really, Brendan, he played 3 magnificent bowls and set the head up. And
they were all his, weren't they? All 3 shots were earned by Hill. In the end, one of Jamie Hill's got promoted into the head, but he held all 3 before that final bowl from Bradshaw.
So 3/4 length head, and this looks more like the Jamie Hill that we saw this morning. Lance Pascoe urging that on, just finishing lower the jack, but a good opening bowl from the Lance Pascoe lead. We'll see Carruthers will go to his backhand, the left-hander.
Playing from the clubhouse, which is well populated, both outside and in, behind that glass. Number of spectators watching in the more air-conditioned confines.
Just going to pull up short. Is that Carruthers bowl? And Lance Pascoe just indicating to Jamie Hill it's about a metre low of the jack, that bowl that just came in.
Yeah, giving Jamie Hill an idea from the mat how far away it is. He can try and judge his second. He waves that one off. Almost apologises to Pascoe for being short.
No, virtually it forces, and see Michael Bradshaw straight away indicating to John Carruthers, your backhand side of the rink's now been cut off by that shorter bowl. You've got to go to your forehand. So here is Carruthers, just gives it that little flick at the delivery point.
And then the lean out to
The
that
lead,
side.
Well, because it's narrow. The old telltale sign. You see it so often. You would have seen it, Brendan, as they walk off the mat trying to coax the bowl to go where they want it when they know very well it's narrow. So Jamie Hill, of course, now too changing his hand, and that's a better line.
Get the speed to slow down though. I think he's worried about that out of the hand, and he's shown more emotion in the last 5 minutes than I think I've seen him throughout his career. Jamie Hill, there, just a bit of the crossed arms and a bit of head and hand.
So John Carruthers now on what is his forehand. Definitely one to Pasco and Hill, and this looks on a good line. This bowler John Carruthers is going to get just walk past the jack. Of course, Jamie Hill, as we said, the 39-year-old greenkeeper, has had a number of outings for the Black Caps at the Blackjacks at international events, and has won 3 New Zealand Fours titles. So he's certainly up there with the best, that's for sure. And Lance Pasco endeavouring to get his first, but certainly been a good performer on the national scene for a long time.
It certainly has. It's helped the Elmwood Park Saints get to 2 grand finals and bowls 3-5 on Sky Sport.
Pasco on the backhand just hangs out on that wider side. Perfect weight. Jack level was the indication. Definitely holding is the Hill Pasco combination. Mike Bradshaw really quickly into his work then. And he's coming down on that narrower line. Is it going to hold up long enough on the weight? No, it's not. So Lance Pasco now, he'll be endeavouring on that backhand. He's got half a mitt and he doesn't like it. Gone too wide, he's walked away quite a distance across the rink trying to coax it in, and it was also very short.
Yeah, one to forget from Lance Pasco.
Bradshaw's got to find that port between that very short bowl. That's his line.
It's a touch narrow here. It's going to run into some of the short bowls. Might get a nice handy promotion. Not quite enough though to change the situation.
Jamie Hill just indicating there that we're still holding the 1. Smooth delivery. Here's Lance Pasco. Jamie Hill, though, he's got the textbook. Really smooth delivery. Here comes Lance Pasco. Is he going to sit on his own? Bowl just goes by.
So it doesn't change the situation. Remains Pasco and Hill holding shot. Bradshaw to play the last for the Royal Oak combination.
Certainly it's on that wider line. It's on a better line. How far is it going to come back with a weight? This is close to drawing shot. This is close to drawing shot. Fall out.
Fell out. Has that changed the situation? Yeah, Jamie Hill indicates still 1, but what an effort that was from Mike Bradshaw. He's played some very good bowls over the last couple of ends and hasn't got any reward for it.
Certainly has. That fell in. It was shot instead. Unfortunately for Mike Bradshaw, fell out.
So 7-1 now. Pasco and Hill leading after 5 of the 18 ends in this men's pairs final. Jamie Hill remaining in control of the jack, dictating the length that he and Pasco want to play. Long end, almost at that 2 metre mark, jack place. He's going to come well short. Well, it's a rare big miss from Jamie Hill, well short of the target.
He'd be disappointed with that bowl for sure. That's un-Jamie Hill-like, but of course opens the door very much for John Carruthers to take advantage of that on the forehands. Carruthers, he's got plenty of room now to draw it right to the jack and give his side a good start to the head. How's the weight though? It's breaking down towards the centre line now, and will still leave literally just about a metre. Jamie Hill now, he'll try and improve. Just his line will be to try and get to the tee. If he can draw to the tee, he knows that he'll have shot. And Lance Pasco's urging that on, breaking past the head, going past the tee pretty quickly.
Yeah, overcorrection there from Jamie Hill. Obviously needed to increase his weight after being well short with his first, but Goes along with his second. I'm not sure if that stayed on the surface. I think just looking out the window, it did. A couple of feet from the ditch. Just below our graphics at the bottom of the screen. There's that last bowl from Jamie Hill.
So John Carruthers just going to...
There you can see it.
Run into his first bowl. And whereas in the past we've done most of these commentaries from outside, greenside so to speak, this year we're inside.
Been sent indoors. Players have spoken.
Not allowed out. Locked away in the confines of a heat room. That's fine. As we just bowl it, Jamie Hill's just go by.
Very comfortable. We are inside here at Carlton Cornwall.
And well done, of course, to Tamara, Aaron and the team who are the workers behind the scenes, putting all this together, and they do a wonderful job so that we can bring this coverage live to you on Sky Next. And there's a better bowl from John Carruthers, and he's going to get a touch on the jack, and it may only be one now. It's right down on the 2 metre mark is the jack. Of course, you can see down by the number 5, there's a couple of Jamie Hill bowls there that you can see.
Yeah, second and third bowls, which went past their head. So the jack has been moved after that great bowl from John Carruthers. Slight movement though. It's a deep end anyway.
So here is Lance Pasco having to draw right down to the 2 metre mark, and this is on a pretty good line. This bowl of Lance Pasco's, how's the weight as it comes just level to the jack now, goes by, and
that's where they want the jack to move, because there's a home of 3 of them, those charcoal bowls of Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill.
So Michael Bradshaw, I'm sure, as he plays on his back end,
want to get amongst those bowls, won't he?
He'd be quite happy to get past the head, but to me that looks is going to cut and run
narrow.
under the head. And so I wonder on the drive, on that narrow line, whether Pasco can see the Carruthers bowl.
Yeah, you're either there or
you're going to change hands as well, potentially.
And this could well be looking for the jack or the bowl shot.
And playing on that backhand side, the previous bowl of Bradshaw somewhat blocking up that forehand. I think they might find a similar home to the others.
Yeah, it's heading right back into that pen with all of the
look
others.
At them all. That's 4 bowls for Pasco and Hill out of their 5 so far, all in one spot.
And we're just assuming at this point that it's just the one down.
Yeah, obviously from that angle certainly looks
like
only the one,
it from where we look at that monitor, but
not the best angle side on. In this angle, it's hard to know, but you'd think that certainly looks well over a metre there, the next bowl. So this could change the situation though.
Here's that look that we're talking about, Brenton.
Could that be the second? So all the Pasco and Hill bowls are pretty much under their name, to the right of the score, their names, and then just below that.
So here's that.
You can see them.
Yeah,
Just to the
come and
left
have a
of
look
the number
at,
5.
come and have a look at this.
And this just shows that this is a final. It's not a quarter final.
No.
Pasco and Hill being more deliberate, taking their time a lot more than they were in their quarter final, where they were racing against the Southern combination of Craig Merrilies and Craig Tinker.
One would think, Brendan, that if Lance Pasco elected to drive and was fortunate enough to make contact with the blue bolt, there's every chance of that actually running back onto the kitty as well, and the kitty moving back to where all of those bowls actually are. So it just depends, I suppose, whether they are the one down, and it is an opportunity, a slim opportunity, I would say, but is it what they're going to endeavour to play to?
Yeah, if you're only one down, why not?
And he is. And he is. And he is.
Wow, he's got rid of the shot bowl. Now, what is the situation? It's very hard to tell who has got shot. Is it those back bowls? Can I hear? I think
That was a great bowl.
Yeah, oh, fantastic bowl. Would have been even better if he got the jack.
It was hitting for the jack.
Wasn't far away. They managed to move the jack out to those black bowls there, charcoal bowls. This is a good response, though. And look at this from Bradshaw. It needs to hold up. Needs to hold up. If it falls in, might be the difference.
Just that the Hill bowl is on a straight line to the jack. Out comes the measure.
John Carruthers. Just want to have another look with the naked eye. Now he's going to get down on his haunches.
Now, if Jamie Hill has got a measure in his pocket, that would be a first, I would say. Because it's not something that he normally carries as part of his furniture.
Is he trusting? He trusts his eye that much, or he just relies on other people to bring the measure?
Oh, it is one.
Yeah, there we go. So 1 to Pasco and Hill. So not quite Bradshaw. Needed it to hold up just a foot. And would have grabbed the shot. Doesn't, after Pasco managed to drive out what was the shot bowl that was right next to the jack. So one more to Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill. 8-1 it is now after 6 of the 18 ends. So we're a third of the way through this contest. And Pasco and Hill in control, but they've been made to work for every shot. Carruthers and Bradshaw, and I also think Bradshaw must consider himself a bit unlucky. He's played some pretty good shots, just hasn't quite got the reward so far.
Certainly has, but I give credit to, in that particular head, Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill. There was an opportunity there. It was a difficult shot, really hard shot to get, but as you rightly said, it's only one. Let's give it a go. So, and that's good to see. That, and of course, gives them confidence. And Jamie Hill's responded straight away by drawing just in front of the jack with his first bowl on this, the 7th end.
Yeah, no time limit, of course, for these finals matches.
Good response here from John Carruthers, just sitting lower the jack. Very good bowl. Lance Pasco just saying to Jamie Hill, stay on that forehand, draw up through here.
But we do have a limited number of ends, 18 ends for the pairs finals. Only way we have an extra end is if we're all tied after 18.
Jamie Hill goes over the head by a couple of metres, and Lance Pasco, he won't be disappointed with that because the jack moves. Those back bowls come in very, very handy.
It won't be too shaken up, Carruthers and Bradshaw, by being down by 7. They did trail early on in their semi-final. 5-0 it was after 3 ends.
Oh, they won't be concerned, really, because...
Then it was even... Was it even more than that at one stage as well?
At one stage, of course, the others, the Dickinson side, they scored on 3 to a 5 to a 4 ends. They scored 7, but the Carruthers side just hung in there, and so they won't be perturbed.
And they did trail by 2 going into the final end, of course, so their semi-final. If you didn't see that earlier today against the Bay of Plenty combination of Dan Dickinson and Nicholas Summerset. It was 14-12 down playing the last, picked up a 3, and here they are in the final of the men's pairs at these Summerset Nationals.
So John Carruthers with his last bowl, holding shot, going to turn into his own, and turns it, rolls a bolt into the head. And now Lance Pasco just having a look to see who has got shot. There's a Jamie Hill bolt out to the side, very tight head. (8-1) to Jamie Hill and Lance Pasco.
quite long deliberation between the composite pairing of Pasco and Hill. I think we had maybe 2 discussions between the two in their quarter-final victory earlier today against the Southlanders, Craig Merrilies and Craig Tinker. Already we've seen that number, and they've been much longer.
They were very quick in that game this morning.
Yeah, their game finished almost an hour before Bradshaw and Carruthers quarter-final, which went the distance.
So here is Lance Pasco trying to get to a John Carruthers bowl. Look at that, touches it, gets around the corner. You know, you monitor, it looks like it's a Jamie Hill bowl just adjacent to the side of the jack that looks like shot. We'll get an idea once we see the weight that Michael Bradshaw plays with.
Yeah, of course. Pasco was trying to get just in the other side of the bowl he's currently on. So make it a couple, I think, to the composite pairing. Wasn't to be. Bradshaw makes his way back to the mat. He's assessed the situation at the head. No doubt have a bowl in mind he wants to play. Now can he execute?
So playing with at reaching weight on the backhand, trying to get to the Carruthers bowls. He's close here to turn them into the head. Does that, pushes the Jamie Hill bowl out. And
is that another Jamie Hill bowler he's pushed
Jamie
into the
Hill
head?
bowler he's pushed in. I just saw Jamie Hill indicate we've got one.
And now Pasco saying to Jamie Hill, well, now what do you want me to play? So change hands by the looks of it.
This is the most discussion that I've seen between the two of them. They've been, you know, quite talkative actually about what shots we're going to play.
No, I don't think he likes this. The way he straight away looked away, and here it comes under the line.
So again, that backhand sort of jar onto the front bowls with a yard of weight. And we'll push the John Carruthers bowl through onto the head, onto the jack on that backhand side. How far is it going to come back to the line? Needs to get a feather off this.
Well, the smallest possible gap. You try that 50 times.
You would not have gone through there.
You wouldn't be able to do it. Of course, when you're not aiming for it, you find it.
So Lance Pasco in his last bowl on this, the 7th end. Always hurrying with this one. It's narrow as well. He'd be disappointed with that. And Michael Bradshaw has been so close to getting the result with both of his first 2 bowls.
He deserves some luck to go his way. He has not played poorly and yet finds his pairing in an early hole, third of the way through this contest. Now, can he
playing with more
find
weight
a result this time?
He's got contact on the front, which will get the jack, push the John Carruthers bowl through.
There you go, and that should be 1 to Bradshaw and Carruthers. So well executed, a bit of luck this time for Mike Bradshaw. Really well performed there, pushing his own, promoting his own bowl through the head, onto the jack, and they have their second. 8-2 it is now. Score after 7 of 18 ends. Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill leading Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers.
Well, he played all 3 bowls in the target area. Each one of them were close, weren't they? And so, you know, I wouldn't say luck. He deserved the...
That's what I mean. He deserved a bit of fortune.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't a lucky shot. He played for that.
You don't see that very often. And Jack's been delivered by John Carruthers and didn't have to be moved at all by the skip. Just right
on
in
the
middle.
centre line. Perfection from rolling out the jack for John Carruthers. As I mentioned a few times, they had that dramatic win which we broadcast for you against Dan Dickerson and Nicholas Summerset, the composite pairing out of the Bay of Plenty. While Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill had what was eventually a straightforward win over Pat Houlihan and Howard O'Donnell. Very tight start to that contest. Earlier today in quarter-final actions, it was Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers beating Aidan Takarua, and Richard Hocking, the young guns who had beaten the defending champs Ray Martin and Robbie Bennett in the round of 16, while Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill comfortably accounted for Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker. And it's all happened today. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, and now the final of the men's pairs here at the Summerset Nationals at Carlton, Cornwall in Auckland. Beautiful conditions, 4 bowls. I hope you are enjoying our coverage here on Sky Sport Next wherever you may be. Great number of spectators in attendance as well, enjoying the action, be it in the club rooms or outside on the steps and around the green.
It's great viewing here actually at Carlton. With the, you can sit all around the green and good viewing around the clubhouse area as well. So it's certainly it's a great facility. All right, you see the second Jamie Hill bowl after a very good first bowl go wide of the jack. So John Carruthers now will play his third and last bowl on the 8th end, and he'll play it on the backhand. Just question, that line looks pretty good now as this breaks towards the head. Getting pretty keen on this one as it breaks towards the centre line and the jack, and is going to sit right in front of the jack. Front toucher by the Mike Bradshaw lead.
Yeah, wonderful bowl from John Carruthers. Front toucher, absolutely perfect, sitting on the jack.
And I told her she's not getting it back either.
Yeah, Jamie Hill's not far away either. Just slides past. Some of the fans in attendance.
Hope you're enjoying it, Mr. Wetton, sitting there. And of course that bowl does give, where the Jamie Hill jack level bowl is, does give a bit of an opportunity for a slide off the inside of the bowl to the shot bowl should Lance Pasco play down on that backhand side. Here's Bradshaw, Mike Bradshaw holding shot on the forehand, moving to go across the centre line and short. That shot that I was talking about has now just been denied. That bowl is just finished, making it very difficult for Lance Pasco to get down through there. He's endeavouring to do so though on that backhand. Has to get past that bowl, of course.
Yeah, needed to get around the outside of it, I think. Inside was never going to work, and yeah, in the end it was far under the line.
Well, that line is virtually through that, just about virtually through that bowl to get that line to get to the inside of the bowl to possibly get to the jack. So Mike Bradshaw again, well,
if the first one doesn't block it up, this one does.
It certainly has. There's a bit about that shot now.
Yeah. Now he's saying to Jamie Hill to change hands.
Certainly, because there's nothing else you can do.
Jamie Hill says yes. Skip.
So on the forehand is Lance Pasco. It's on a pretty good line, this bowl. Certainly going to give them another bowl on the head. The second shot. Not that they're going to be driving at this, because I don't think he could get down through there on the drive with those front bowls. Mike Bradshaw definitely on a wider line this time. The bowl to arc its way in towards the centre line, which it will duly do. It won't count, but another bowl on the head. One down, Jamie Hill saying.
And just having a bit of a look. Pasco's deciding whether to come and have a look too. Yeah, he's going to come and have a look for himself, I think.
He's looking, obviously, at a backhand full-blooded drive down under those short bowls. But, of course, you can see that centre line there. It's got to be right down, it's a fine line, really fine line. And the difficulty for them is even playing that shot. The bowler, John Carruthers, of course, is a toucher. And how it's situated, one would think the jack would just about go straight back to the ditch. It might be one of those cases, let's just try and draw the shot, drop one. And that's what's happened.
Yep, I've decided there's no point. So we'll just give you the shot. I'm not going to do anything good by playing the last bowl. So
another end gone, halfway mark. No, we're playing the halfway mark now. So, and of course, Mike Bradshaw had no more bowls left to play to try and build a number on the head. So
8-3 it is now after 8 of the 18 ends. Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill still leading Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers, but Bradshaw and Carruthers scoring on back-to-back ends.
So 3/4 length head, John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw, of course, at the Royal Oak Club, just up the road from here. It was, in fact, the old Onehunga Club, which has now become a merged club between Onehunga and Hillsborough.
They're two very proud and successful clubs of Auckland, both promoted a number of national champions.
Certainly have. And Onehunga has been one of the proud old clubs of Auckland, always still holds a very strong membership. When we look at how the memberships are faced now around the sporting codes, Onehunga runs a very, very good operation and very competitive bowls, full bowls calendar, and a very big corporate business house program that they run as well at their lovely setting up there at Royal Oak. And John Carruthers responds with a good draw, jack level bowl. Jamie Hill try and follow that Carruthers bowl and just question what that line's going to be now. Has to break under the Carruthers bowl and is just going to roll past it to jack level as Lance Pasco applauds it. John Carruthers now with his third bowl. It got a real flick out of the hand. It looks as though it's going to stay on that wider side, but still in a good position.
Hill with his last of this, the 9th end. Looks like a very good track. It's just going to finish short, fall out. That's the shot. Well played by Pasco's lead, Jamie Hill.
So this is, of course, 9th end of 18. Halfway mark, and it'll be Mike Bradshaw to deliver the first bowl. Interesting that John Carruthers had left the blue bowl up there for him to deliver, but he comes right down to the back, does Mike Bradshaw.
No, I don't want to bowl with that one first.
Don't want that one. I've got them coded. I know which ones I want. And under the head it goes.
Obviously, Pasco and Hill have played at a slightly slower pace than what we saw earlier and have been a bit more deliberate in how they've played. But for players who clearly like to play a bit quicker, is it difficult playing players like Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers, who definitely do operate at a different pace to them? And can it affect you?
It can be frustrating especially, Brendan, if you're playing like a time limit game, it can then become frustrating. In a non-time limit game like this, it's just like golf, whatever. You just got to close certain things out and just stick to what you think your strengths are, what your process is, because you can easily get caught up. And the old Nick Unkovic was always a classic, always used to do it. He was well known to slow a game down. Nick would just go to have a comfort stop, but he just slowed everything down, and he was well known. Gary Lawson, same thing. You watch Gary Lawson quite often. If things are, he'll just wander away, hold a head up for a few moments, and but in a time limit game, yes, it can be frustrating. And of course, if it's like Bolshoi 5. That's one of the good things, of course, about the shot clock as well, where it eliminates that real slow play. But in the main, the players are pretty good. You and I have seen at the international level as well. They've got the confidence, even though in what shot they're going to play. They know what they know what they want to do.
Yeah, I think in some ways, to New Zealand's benefit to play slower when they play teams like Australia.
Absolutely it is. We've seen New Zealand get caught up.
In their pace.
One was an example that you and I both saw, was Jamie Hill playing Aaron Wilson in the singles in Australia. We know how quick Aaron Wilson plays. And Jamie, as we know, plays quick as well. But trying to follow someone like Aaron Wilson, who it's very, and it doesn't work.
The marker couldn't keep up, remember?
They couldn't, that's right. He couldn't keep up.
Wasn't able to get down the other end quick enough when the jack was being placed.
Yeah, he was.
So I think there's a couple there signalled by Jamie Hill. So they got the mat and the jack back to the Pasco Hill combination.
The jack high bowl looked as though it did count. Just check that scoreboard, which has been changed right now.
Yeah, I believe it was 2 signalled by Jamie Hill, but we will await confirmation. Barry Green, club members here doing the marking job and also looking after the scoreboard. He quickly just checked in with Jamie Hill. And confirmation, I believe, it was a couple, so 10-3. Now, Lance Pasco and Mike Bradshaw leading. Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill, leading Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers.
So, in a game like this, it's the next 4 ends now for Hill and Pasco, which will, I'm not going to say determine the outcome, but will certainly decide where they are going into the back end of the game, and ends 14-18. And the big thing for them, as we spoke about this morning when they were playing Craig Merrill's, is now not to be in a position whereby you are going to lose 3 or 4 shots on any one end. You play the board, you'll accept one down, and you'll try, of course, to score 1s and 2s. And then by the time you get to end 14, the pressure's then on your opposing side to have to endeavour to catch up with numbers at that back end. Now, we're nowhere near that at this stage, but I know going through the thinking of Jamie Hill and Lance Pasco right now at the halfway mark is to make sure that we control the game and don't have loose ends. That's the big thing. And there's another good bowl here from Jamie Hill, and this 10th end just going to slip by. He's got 2 bowls now within about 15 inches of the jack. Great start by the greenkeeper, the Mount Albert player.
Yeah, so had 9 ends completed, so halfway through. Bradshaw and Carruthers have scored on 3 of the 9, but only getting 1 on each of those ends.
There's a great attempt here from Carruthers.
What a reply. What a reply from John Carruthers. Grabs a shot back for the Royal Oak combination.
Sat right on top of the Jamie Hill bowl. And now Jamie Hill, I'm picking, will endeavour to emulate that. I don't think it's going to come back far enough as it's breaking towards the head now, but just going to go by the John Carruthers bowl, but will sit nicely just over the head. And this is what we were talking about before, Brenton, is the head's been set up early on where we're not in a danger zone of a 3 or a 4. And that's so important. So again, John Carruthers made a great bowl with his second one to sit on top of it. Looks as though it's going to be outside that line. So Lance Pasco now can play that confident draw. If he gets a touch on the jack, it's all in their favour. See a bit of breeze out there now. Just see John Carruthers bowling cloth, but nothing major.
Yeah, I think it's more a welcome breeze here for the players.
I agree, Brendan.
Not a breeze that's going to be affecting bowls at all. Another hot day in Auckland.
Certainly was on the right line. There was Lance Pasco, but dropped his weight. Played that dead draw weight. Now Mike Bradshaw quickly into his work, trying to get down to sit on one of those bowls, sit on the other Jamie Hill bowl. This is a great attempt here from Mike Bradshaw, and it sits right in front of the jack, and that'd be 2 for sure.
Yeah, very good bowl from Bradshaw. That's what they need. They need to keep scoring now. On ends. The second half of this men's pairs final, trailing by 7. Certainly not out of it, but scoring with singles is not really enough. They need to get multiples.
So Mike Bradshaw will try and follow that as last bowl. Draw to make 3 of it. Just drew within centimetres of the jack. That's what he'll be trying to do with this is second bowl. And it's on a good line again, but might just run away under the head. That's not all bad. Jamie Hill actually going to have a look to see whether that counts or not.
Yeah, jack level bowl from Bradshaw. Must have been close to being a counter. Pasco on the backhand.
This is on a good line. This is on a good line. This is on a good line.
It's on a great line. Big smile from Jamie Hill to his skip Lance Pasco, and a round of applause as that was executed perfectly. Right on line. We could both see it, couldn't we, Kevin, that it was certainly going to be in the area, and it was bang on the money. Carried the jack through, and now holding potentially, or certainly 2.
Could be 3.
Maybe 3.
Perfect weight though, Brendan, just to get that jack through to there and really close the head off for Mike Bradshaw. This becomes a big end now for Mike Bradshaw.
It certainly does. He's only got the 1 bowl to play.
And he's looking at the drive to the front bowl, which is his own, that blue bowl you can see, which is...
Could even spit the jack out to the side, could kill the end. If he gets it.
It'll have to be quick. Because it won't, otherwise, because it certainly won't hold up unless it's played really quick.
Well, they're still deliberating. Carruthers, Bradshaw looking at the picture now. Carruthers offering an option.
Well, now, yeah, because one of the things one always has to be careful of is to put too many options in your head, and then, what weight do I play?
You've got to be clear once you get to the mat what you're
yeah.
going to play, don't you? You can't still be thinking, oh, got a few opportunities here.
And that's why it's players like Mandy Boyd, although she lost yesterday, she's confident in the shot that she's going to play. She knows what she's going to play and backs herself, and doesn't put too many ideas into her head of what weight to play or what shots should I play. So here's Michael Bradshaw, who certainly has to play with reaching weight, and that's certainly what he's doing.
It looks off target. That's not going to come back. That's not going to change the picture. So I believe it's 2. Now, could it be 3? I think we saw 2 signal. Yeah, 3 go up. 3 lollipops. So big end, and that was all done by Lance Pasco. It was the Royal Oak pairing who were holding shot. Then Pasco with a lovely draw through a very tight corridor turned it into 3 for the composite pairing. So 13-3 the score now. Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill leading Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers after 10 of the 18 ends.
That's certainly the big conversion shots that Brent and I have been talking about, and played so well with the weight from Lance Pasco. And are we going to see a long way to go yet? Of course, we're only playing end 11, but Lance Pasco in pursuit of his first national title after being defeated last year in the final of the 4s, and has got the distinction of losing 6 semi-finals in New Zealand national events. So he'd be delighted if...
yeah, another one for his household as well, of course. Mandy Boyd's got household. 7 of them.
Correct.
His partner. And he's looking for his first.
And, of course, Bradshaw and Carruthers, this would be their first. And Jamie Hill in pursuit of his 4th. Jack level is the call there from Lance Pasco. And a bit wayward, metre and a bit each of the 2 Jamie Hill bowls. John Carruthers' bowl, first bowl was short. And it looks to be breaking back. Will it break around the bowl? No, it won't. It's going to just pull up slightly short. Now Jamie Hill now will endeavour to deliver the 3rd one, which is he wants close to the jack for sure. Lance Pasco's keen. No, it's not. It's going to hang on that wider side. It's got to come back underneath the head all the way. Is it going to come all the way back? Yes, it is. Got that feather. Lance Pasco's quite happy with that. Just got to slide off that side bowl.
Some of the spectators in attendance. What a beautiful summer's day here at Carlton Cornwall Bowls in Auckland.
They've got the half stalk walk.
Usually means it's quite decent.
And it is. And it is. Second shot. Oh, it just had to fall through the head and just sat outside it. Lance Pasco confident they got the 1. As they turn over. 13-3 as they change over on end 11.
Kaushik Patel, the high performance manager of Bowls New Zealand, speaking with Gary Lawson.
What do you think they've
Needs
been
no
talking
introduction. Maybe football results or something like that.
Cricket.
Cricket. Potentially.
Talking about the test match.
Yeah, actually missed a message from Kaushik Patel. He wanted me to wind up Mike Kernahan, ask him about the Liverpool result this morning.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, he's very passionate.
Kaushik Patel, I believe, a Manchester United fan.
He is.
And, of course, Mike Kernahan, proud Liverpudlian.
As is Joe Edwards.
As is Joe Edwards, exactly. He was born there.
And Coronation Street. True. Yeah, there's Bradshaw looking for the jack, got it around the corner.
He's unlucky again. It's a great bowl to get the jack. Unfortunately for him, he didn't go with his bowl.
The New Zealand team at the Commonwealth Games of Manchester in 2002 got especially the Rovers return opened for them, and they went there, and Joe Edwards had one of her something she enjoyed. Stood behind the bar and served a nail at the Rovers' return, along with the rest of the New Zealand women's side, as she was a very avid, at that time, was an avid Coronation Street follower.
I have to excuse my ignorance, Kevin. I assume that is that the pub in Coronation
Yes,
Street,
it is
Rovers
the pub
return, right?
It is.
Right.
So did Mike Bradshaw actually draw the shot with that bowl? It certainly sat Jack level. We'll see now with Lance Pasco. This is on a good line as well. This one of Pasco's, if it gets past the Hill bowl and stops. Not sure. John Carruthers didn't say a lot then. So that Mike Bradshaw just try and beat his own blue bowl, and that would certainly make sure that the Royal Oak side have got shot. This is on a pretty good line. Is it going to get got the back of the bowl?
Looking over this, Hill and Carruthers. I think it's going to be a couple more though for Pasco and Hill. So despite Carruthers, Bradshaw rather able to move the jack, it doesn't go the Royal Oak pairing's way. So 15-3 now after 11 of 18.
Well, you know, they're getting to the point now. So there's 2 ends left to get to that end 13, where you've got to be scoring to have a chance to claw back.
So what do you think you have to be within with those 5 ends remaining?
Oh, you want to be within, say, 8.
Okay.
To give yourself, you know, the big thing is you just can't now let the opposition score, you know, and as far as Jamie Hill is concerned and Lance Pasco is concerned, one's a fine. There's a good opening bowl here from Jamie Hill, just sliding by, a bit overweighted.
Well, they've really opened it up in the last 3 ends, haven't they? Scoring 7.
Correct.
Pasco and Hill. It was 8-3 just 3 ends ago.
But it indicates as well, Brendan, so far in this game, is that the Royal Oak side have only scored 3 singles, which is highlighting really that they haven't been able to build heads to have scoring opportunities. And when they have had those scoring opportunities, we have seen, like we saw before, Lance Pasco play that trail shot. So it's really about, again, effective bowls, effective ends. And we see here now John Carruthers with Jamie Hill going heavy with his first. Great opportunity for John Carruthers to really put the pressure on, but in fact falls significantly short. And Jamie Hill's now drawn lower the jack, but definitely the shot. And now Carruthers has got plenty of room to draw the shot, but it's about building the head from bowl 1 to give yourself that scoring chance. And that's easier to say sitting here, but certainly on a better line, the wider line, this bowl of John Carruthers. But again, how's the weight? So the weight's not there.
Yeah, really opened the door here for Jamie Hill to convert with his 3rd.
So you're straight away in a situation where you're looking at a situation whereby, well, not our best scoring opportunity is, say, a 2. So, but the pressure's on because Hill now, you can see he's got a couple of bowls sitting pretty adjacent to where that jack's located. On the backhand, change of hand was John Carruthers. Is he going to run into that Jamie Hill bowl? On what side of it is he going to get it at? It helps certainly, and that would be, say, second shot. He ran into the Jamie Hill bowl.
Yeah, unfortunate there, running into that bowl of Hill. So trailing by 12, a Royal Oak combination. Need to start things get the ball moving. They need to score more than just the one they have on the 2nd, 7th and 8th ends.
So Lance Pasco on his forehand, playing down towards the clubhouse. On end 12, this is on a good line, this bowl of Lance Pasco's. How far is it going to run? Sit on the Jamie Hill bowl, is it? Yes, it will fall in.
Might be 3.
And Mike Bradshaw having to draw the shot. It's on a pretty good line, is the Royal Oak skip, especially if he gets onto the front of the Carruthers bowl, which he does. And certainly he made contact with 2 of the bowls. Jamie Hill will see what he indicates. It indicates, well, I'm not sure what he's indicating.
2.
2 down.
2 down, is it?
He indicated just then.
Yeah, round this.
So indicating to Lance Pasco, just draw please on the backhand.
You'd think the bowl left of picture is certainly closer.
That's what it looks like from our monitor for sure, Brendan. There's Lance Pasco trying to get down to the counting bowl as a repair of John Carruthers, but doesn't have the weight.
That finishes well short.
Certainly, you're right, it doesn't look like it, especially if I look at the first bowl outside the ring. I reckon it's one. I was thinking it's 1 to Jamie Hill actually.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't.
That's from the way I'm
maybe
looking at it.
he was even signalling 2 to
Possibly, you're right.
his combination. To his skip Pasco. I did see 2 fingers going up. They did look more like, maybe they looked horizontal. So
Yeah, that
certainly
could have
weren't
been that.
pointing down, up or down.
So we'll get an idea after Mike Bradshaw's played this is second bowl. And he rocked one of his own bowls.
That doesn't change the situation.
I just think, Brendan, if Jamie Hill and Co are down, I'm surprised they're playing that hand actually, because there's more drawing chances, I would have thought. On the other hand, if you were down, here comes Lance Pasco, because he has to get around these front bowls, and he's giving it a
Not going
good
to.
attempt. Not going to. John Carruthers might indicate something. No.
You can do that.
So it's the last bowl on this, the 12th of this 18-end final of the Summerset National Men's Pairs Final. And again, on a reasonably good line is this bowl of Mike Bradshaw's. How far's the weight going to take it? Not enough. Well, there's a lot of looking around, isn't there? They went straight to one.
So that's 1. So that's 2.
2.
So that's what we thought.
Yeah,
And now Jamie Hill will measure whether that's 3rd or whether this other bowl of Mike Bradshaw is 3rd. 2, says Jamie Hill. So that's what he was indicating.
He was indicating
2 to his skip. And 2 more to the Lance Pasco Jamie Hill combination. And they are really in control now. 17-3 after 12 of 18.
It's this end or nothing, really, because after that you've got to be scoring 3s every end on the way home, and that's a big ask.
Yeah, they really need to start those 3s happening now, to be honest.
So it's Hill and Pasco now just got to control, which they will do. They're experienced enough. There'll be nothing rash from them, that's for sure. And Lance Pasco vying for his first national title, and is certainly on a good road at this point in time. There's Jamie Hill. He's certainly been impressive. Although we didn't see the second game, but the first game this morning.
First game in particular, I think Lance Pasco maybe for me in the final has been maybe the standout of the two.
Oh, he certainly has. He's played magnificent.
But
bowl.
this morning, Hill just gave him an absolute armchair ride, didn't he?
And they've only had a couple of ends so far to date where there's been like danger signs where they've
controlled things very well.
Absolutely.
Bradshaw and Carruthers only scored on 3 ends. That tells
it tells you a lot,
doesn't it? Yeah. And when Pasco and Hill have scored, for the most part they've scored multiples.
Well, we've got 9 shots in the last 4 ends.
Yeah, well that helps.
Certainly does. As the Jamie Hill bolt just comes up fractionally short.
So in the period of the game when Bradshaw and Carruthers really needed to make the move, it's been Pasco and Hill who have made the move. Before this recent 9-shot swing, it was 8-3, and it had Bradshaw and Carruthers score on back-to-back ends, making things interesting. And then Pasco and Hill have just shut the door and said, no, this is our final.
Well, again, we've seen Lance Pasco. I've marked one here on the 10th end where they scored a 3. And to me, that was the big turning point. Although they were up 10-3, when Lance Pasco trailed that jack and turned it into 3. Look at this now from Jamie Hill. Drew round the bowl, sits right on top of it. That to me was the big end. Because they were down on the head at that point in time as well. And got that trail, 3 shots, and it was a magnificently weighted draw bowl.
Yeah, very well executed.
Brothers trying to get to the shot bowl. Very good attempt.
So going to fall back down. Yes,
Yes, it will. That'll be shot. Yep.
Got a bit of fortune there, but they'll probably due it. Bradshaw had a spell where he was playing some really good bowls, just wasn't getting anything out of it.
And here is Mandy Boyd and Angela Boyd, who had just come back from their pairs today, playing 3 rounds of pairs. Mandy Boyd rushing in to see the finish of the final of her partner Lance and Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill, so that'll bring a smile to her face.
Yeah, no doubt they would have done well today. We haven't seen any results from the women's pairs section play, but one of the favourites, if not the favourite, and the women's pairs, the Boyd sisters.
So Lance Pasco will be quite happy with this. It'll just get round behind the head, right on the centre line, and that now opens the opportunity for him to actually play that pressing shot to the jack or that bowl, the Carruthers bowl. And we'll see now Lance Pasco's on that backhand side, and he'll certainly try and press through to the jack or the shot bowl on the wide side. It looks, how far is it coming back? It's moving back now. How's the weight on it?
It's got the weight. It certainly looks to be on target.
How's this?
Oh,
How's this?
it falls out, which may be the difference there.
And was a toucher.
Yeah, it was a toucher. Jamie Hill gets the spray out. What a bowl from Lance Pasco. And Lance Pasco just put his finger down, so suggesting that they are down, despite that great bowl, because of the way it fell.
The way it fell in.
Sean Carruthers, yep, confirms that after a bit of a look. It's obviously very close.
Of course, the problem for Carruthers and Bradshaw is that they can't score any more. That's the difficulty that they've got, that they can't get a good number.
And that's why Pasco and Hill have been so good, because whenever Bradshaw and Carruthers have had a sniff, the most they've scored is 1.
Absolutely.
So it's been very, very well played by this composite pairing. Very well credentialed pairing, of course. Hill, New Zealand international.
So here's the search on the forehand, trying to play through the bowls to the front bowl. and get on to what is the shot bowl. Not to be. Be a 1. Still a bowl to come, but can't see.
Yeah, Carruthers has summoned Bradshaw down. Said, have a look at this. I don't know if you want to even bother bowling. Do we just take the 1 and then hope for something? Yeah, it's going to make this slow walk down the green. Mike Bradshaw to inspect the head. Jamie Hill sharing a few words with John Carruthers. They have a smile about the situation. Because 1's good, but doesn't really change much.
Well,
you might as well try something if you think you can get another shot out of it. There's no harm in trying, because 1...
They have to try.
1 that they win the end, yep, they get to dictate the length.
Umpire, not playing it.
And so going to measure for shot.
I agree with you entirely, Benton, that it's a bit like taking the power play in the first end, isn't it? You should do it, I think. And in this case, I think you should be trying to get another shot. If you give it away, bad luck. But 1's no good. You know, who knows? You might move the jack around the corner, you might make a couple more. But, you know, 1 really is just another end gone.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very tight measure. Get the calipers out. And see who is holding shots. Sue Rossiter, the chief umpire, coming out.
Now, if it's not 1 to them, because Bradshaw should have played his bowl, shouldn't he?
Absolutely, of course he should have. I think he should have either way.
So do I.
We're both of the same opinion there. Given the scoreline, you know, if it was 17-15,
absolutely,
yeah, right decision, not play. But 17-3, 1's not going to help you that much when there's only a handful of ends remaining after this.
Calipers down there from the umpire, Sue Rossiter.
It's obviously very close. Mere millimetres in this. She's going to come back. I think she's favouring the Carruthers bowl.
Dead end.
Is it? Or? No,
it's not.
She has rolled away the Carruthers bowl, so 1 more to the Royal Oak combination, but it is just the 1. 17-4 now. 13 of the 18 ends completed in this men's pairs final. Yeah, for a moment thought maybe it was a dead end, so they both had shots.
So John Carruthers hasn't delivered the jack since the 8th end.
Yeah, well, and not just have they scored on last 4 ends, have Pasco and Hill, but they've scored in a big way, scored 9.
That's correct.
Really opened the game up. Turned an 8-3 game into a 17-3 game. Now 17-4.
So John Carruthers gone away from the very short end, which was their preference earlier on, and delivered the jack just down below the 2 metre mark, and that wouldn't be the bowl that he wanted to open with, literally right on the centre line, but a couple of metres short. And here's the chance now for Jamie Hill straight away to really put pressure on from bowl 1.
Yeah, Carruthers taking his hat off, scratching his head. Just has to try and regroup, gather his thoughts.
It's a good bowl here from Jamie Hill, just what we were talking about, Brenton. Yeah, you just put that pressure on. You've got a blocked up centre line, then you've got the bowl sitting right on top of the jack from bowl 1. It's well played from Jamie Hill.
Yeah, door was open and he walked right through it. Jamie Hill, as he has done so many times today, and no doubt through the couple of days of section play and then yesterday's post section He was here at Carlton Corner with Lance Pasco on the A green, which is to the right of Carlton Corner as we look at it from the club rooms here.
Good response from John Carruthers, and Jamie Hill may give the shot away here. And he got a toucher.
With a great bowl, but unfortunately for him, Jack popped out.
2 touches and he's 1 down to squeeze the Jack out to the side.
But again, they won't be worried about 1.
No, not at this stage for sure.
They won't really be worried about 2, to be honest.
Good line here from Carruthers, but just going to go by with weight. And Jamie Hill, he won't try and change much.
It's Pasco not even really having to say anything to Jamie Hill. Jamie Hill knows what he needs to do.
And again, this is on a good line again, this bowl to Jamie Hill's. Just going to go by, but he won't mind that as well because it's over the head, well past the 2 metre mark, down towards the ditch. So he's not going to be too concerned about that. There's Lance Pasco, 1 down, and another end at this point, just about to go by. It's 14 gone. Oh, wait, it will be 14 gone, 18. So the youngsters all out there practicing.
Liam Hill's out there.
I see Liam Hill out there.
Nephew of Jamie Hill. Who's now a celebrity after appearing on One News last night.
Great story. Mike Bradshaw now trying to add to the count, needing shots. It's on a good line, this bowl of Mike Bradshaw's. John Carruthers looking closely at it. Is it going to sit on the bowl or go through the port? It sits outside it. It's a good bowl. Lance Pasco will endeavour to get down to the Carruthers bowl or to the Jack. Look at this. Look at this. Here he goes again. Unlucky. Another great bowl. Got the Jack.
He wasn't able to get rid of that shot bowl though of John Carruthers, which is still holding for the Royal Oak pairing. Bradshaw quickly on the mat, quickly delivering. No time wasted. So it's going to come around the back of the head. If it falls in, it might be interesting.
Great
Could be
bowl.
second shot.
2 down. Jamie Hill quickly indicates 2 down. So Lance Pasco again on that backhand side, on the wide side, trying to reach down through there.
Off target this time. That one goes into the ditch. It's taken out of play. 2 balls left on this 14th end. Bradshaw quickly delivering his. Certainly seemed to have sped up as Mike Bradshaw in recent times, especially when he's on the mat.
He's on a good line here again with this bowl. Brennan is going to get all the way. That's a great attempt from...
It's not far away.
Great attempt, Jamie Hill. Having a look. Is it 2? Is it 3? 3? Is that the...
I don't think that's what he's signalling. Given that Pasco was right there, I think he was just saying, come down the same.
Down, playing to those bowls.
Yeah. Pasco now makes the long walk back to the mat from the head. Playing, as you can see, towards the clubhouse here at Carlton Cornwall from the Alexandra Park end.
Certainly on different line, and it's going to be under the head for sure.
2 signalled by Jamie Hill. So they do what the minimum required really for Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers. So 17-6 now after 14 of the 18 ends. Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill leading. Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers are all oak.
Somewhere in these remaining ends to score on all of them, that one of them's got to be a 3 as well, Brendan. So they... Carruthers now on his backhand. Body language there. I don't know if you like that one very much. We'll see. It looks pretty good to me.
Not far away at all. Just a foot away.
So Jamie Hill will follow that up on Jamie Hill's forehand. Certainly well greened with a big arc out there coming back to the centre line. And not quite getting all the way back.
Don't worry about that, Bob.
John Carruthers on his backhand. That was a new walk, that one. That's a... That's
The slow stalk.
slow stalk, yeah. And it goes by on the head. Jamie Hill now will just follow that up on the forehand, trying to just draw in sight his last bowl, his first bowl.
And they're in that comfortable position, Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill, where they just keep Bradshaw and Carruthers to 2s.
Yeah, it's there.
That's fine. Just 3 ends to play after this one of the 18 in this men's pairs final. Summerset National Singles and Pairs from the Carlton Cornwall Club in Auckland. Brenton Vanessa-Roy alongside Kevin Hicklin have enjoyed bringing you the coverage of the second day of finals. I hope you have enjoyed it wherever you may be. We'll take a break from broadcasting tomorrow and then be back on Thursday from Sunnybray with finals of both the blind and disabled singles and pairs. And then, of course, on Friday, a culmination of these Summerset National Singles and Pairs. It'll be the women's pairs final from shortly before midday, and then the final event, the men's singles final, and we'll also have a men's singles quarter final for you first thing in the morning on Friday as well, to complete our coverage here on Sky Sport Next.
The men's singles field, Brenton's got it's a pretty classy field when you take the Andrew Kelly's, Gary Lawson, Shannon McElroy, Jamie Hill, Finbar McGuigan, Mike Kernahan, Mike Galloway. It's a very, very good field, and I think we're in for a fantastic in the post section. I think we're going to see some great games, and who knows, we may see one of these younger players now make their way through into that last day.
Oh, Taylor Horn
won
a couple of years ago.
One here.
Yeah, one of those youngsters.
And good Tony Fablin's here, who was the runner-up in that event. Dean Elgar's here as well, of course, who won the singles down in Taranaki as I watch. Pasco just come past the bowl and draw just behind. And indication from John Carruthers, that's the shot, because he's trying to get the jack moved with a yard of weight from Michael Bradshaw. And that's under the centre line all the way. It's a well-drawn shot by Lance Pasco. You're right, Brenton, he's been the head changer right throughout this game, hasn't he, really? He's
Controlled things very well.
He has, certainly has.
Not always has he crossed over in control of the head. And when he hasn't, he's quite often drawn the shot. He's certainly shown his finesse in this final. He came up with a couple of moments of power in that quarterfinal win this morning over the Southland Craigs, Merrilees and Tinker.
And he's controlled it well. He's played his weight very well, and when the big shots have been needed, he's certainly been up to it. And that bowler, Mike Bradshaw's looked out of the hand to be on the wide side. Good attempt, and we might just see one to been played by Lance Pasco. Definitely another one to them. I don't think I'm going to see Lance Pasco trying too hard. So here is Lance Pasco on the forehand. Only a couple of ends away. Most likely from a national peers title. A one.
Yeah, 1 to Pasco and Hill. So a step closer. They are now 18-6. They lead, and it means that Bradshaw and Carruthers have to win
Got to score this end.
this end. Otherwise, it'll be shake hands time. So 18-6 they lead after 15 of the 18 ends. They won their quarter-final in the 16 ends. They also won their semi-final early. Can they complete the final here and deliver Lance Pasco his maiden national title, Jamie Hill his fourth? They can wrap it up on this, the 16th end. That's of course because the most you can score on an end is 6. So if they win this end, they will have an unassailable lead. They'll be more than 12 ahead. There's back to work as John Carruthers. It's a handy start.
Good start
from the Royal Oak lead. Jamie Hill, who was off the mark with his first. As you can see, just right at the bottom of the screen, above the Bradshaw and Carruthers names, is the bowl of Jamie Hill's first, and his second is under the line. So, a couple of rare poor bowls. Player of Jamie Hill standing, of course, recent international. Late 2019, he was a blackjack and then decided to make himself unavailable for international selection. Of course, got a young family, so a lot of commitment playing international bowls. He decided he couldn't quite put in the hours to play internationally, but still, on the national level, a player of the very highest standard.
Certainly is, and also, of course, is part of, I don't know which team it is, the other Premier, the other TV event in Australia, BBL, he's in UBC. He's in one of those sides as well. So he gets a chance to play against some of the best going around. And he's still, Jamie Hill, well, 4 New Zealand titles, you're up there the best, aren't you? No doubt about it. Well,
one away from the gold star.
4 New Zealand titles. And as Brendan rightly said, one away from a gold star.
Well, it's going to take something very special, it's to be fair, for Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers to deny Jamie Hill that 4th national title right now.
Certainly will.
It needs to start now.
And it's a difficult head to get a number on because the blue bowls of John Carruthers are quite scattered. And this is when we've seen Lance Pasco at his best as well, when he's been required to draw. He's done that. So it's on that wider line. The first bowler, Lance Pasco's now breaking its way back towards the centre line. Is it going to sit right dead on the centre line? And will that shot?
Very well bowled. Time and time again. You talked about it just as he was on the mat. And he delivered right on cue. Shows how desperate he is to get this maiden national title.
He certainly has been. I spoke to him I was talking to him just before the game, and he said to me, "Don't say it." I said, "No, mate, I'm not saying a word. You just get out there." Because it's been a bit of a hoodoo trying to get to that New Zealand title, but I think he's one end away from.
So the four's his first final. He'd been fallen at the semi-final stage all the other times, had he?
Correct.
So obviously that was a breakthrough, and now looking to make that next step. Got into the final, the National Fours of Mount Maunganui, late February, early March last year.
Just trying to get some cover down there on a jack trail of 3. It would be a good shot to be able to get the jack for 3. It's got to move quite a distance. Here is Mike Bradshaw.
Certainly speed up on the mat.
Certainly has. See a triangle of blue bowls there where he'd ideally like to be able to get the jack to really, really hard.
It's got one more chance now. Bradshaw. They need to win this end to stay in the final. Otherwise, it is shake hands time. Pasco, with his final bowl of this, the 16th end. As forlorn as Mike Bradshaw in the background as he looks at the scoreboard. It tells one story. And the other story is here on the green. Trying to get amongst these bowls. As Pasco, if Bradshaw is able to execute the train the jack and trying to get amongst those bowls, it's really eliminated the chance now that Bradshaw can pick up a number. Bradshaw will just want to get something.
Well, it's a 2-shot maximum. It's an exceptionally hard shot to play on the back end, trying to get down to the jack.
Oh, I don't know if he's got the speed here, the way he's urging it on at the mat. Looks narrow.
It's narrow.
This could be it. And it is. It's shake hands time. Lance Pasco and Jamie Hill are national champions in the men's pairs. They have beaten Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers 19-6 in the men's pairs final. No need for the final 2 ends. A first national title for Lance Pasco. Congratulations to him. And a 4th to Jamie Hill. I'll head out onto the green to grab the winners. Leave you in the hands of Kevin Hicklin.
Thanks, Brendan. And we certainly saw today, I think, it's funny, right at the start this morning, Brendan and I had said at the quarter-final stages that we thought that Jamie Hill and Lance Pasco were the side to beat. Well, they certainly proved that today when their very convincing win, their first win this morning over Craig Merrilees, the Southland combination with Craig Tinkler, and they ran out the winners very strongly in that game. Then they played Pat Houlihan from Alexandra in the semi-final with his partner Howard O'Donnell, and it was nick and tuck to the halfway stage of the game, but then we saw Pasco and Hill run away with it in the last few ends and score convincingly. And then in this particular final, well, what a performance from these two players. 19-6 after 16 ends, and we saw the Royal Oak side of John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw really have no answer for the consistent drawing of Jamie Hill off the front for the composition opposite side. And for Lance Pasco, his conversion shots were in the big shots that were required during the game. Lance Pasco played those on a number of occasions throughout the game, and as Brenton said just before he left, this gives Lance Pasco his first New Zealand title. Of course, a beaten finalist in the fours last year at Mount Maunganui, playing with Mike Kernhan, was defeated on the extra end by Gary Lawson, has played in 6 semi-finals before, but today is the day where he gets that first title. And of course, yesterday we saw his partner Angela Boyd go down in the final of the singles, so there's now at least one New Zealand title which is making its way back to the Boyd Pasco household. But a convincing exhibition right throughout the day today by Jamie Hill and Lance Pasco, and deserved winners of the Summerset men's fours. And of course, in but a moment, Brendan Van Nistelrooy will have the winning combination. He'll have them with him, and as soon as we're ready with Brenton, I'll hand it over to Brendan Van Nistelrooy and Lance Pasco.
Now here with Lance Pasco, the skip of the successful men's pair. Congratulations, Lance, your first national title.
Yeah, it's good to get the monkey off the back. A few semis and a final, so I'm wrapped.
The performance today, how do you sum it up? Seemed from our viewpoint pretty clinical from both yourself and your lead, Jamie Hill.
Oh, Jamie's an absolute freak of the game. Seriously, he's so good. So I thank him for that. Yeah, I chipped in when I had to. Jamie had it under control most of the time. He's that good. So yeah, we just worked together well.
I think you're downplaying your role a bit there in the final. You came up with some big shots. I think it might have been the 10th end in particular where you were down on the head, managed to pick up the 3. How crucial do you think that moment was?
Yeah, just get the momentum going for us. So, I mean, they get a couple there and there's only 6 or 7 in it. So the 3 there just put them under the pump a bit. So it was a big bowl.
You, of course, played Jamie in the final of the fours in Mount Maunganui last year. You decided then, I need him on my side?
Something like that. No, Gaz gets me all the time, so I had a wee wry smile when he got put out of the tournament. No, yeah, so Jamie was just unbelievable, so it was, yeah.
And you talked about the monkey being off your back. It must be nice for bragging rights in the household. Of course, Mandy with her 7 national titles, you're now on the board.
Well, it makes a change, doesn't it? Everyone knows I'm the second best in the household, so when the kids grow up, I'll be the 4th.
Well, congratulations once again. We look forward to now seeing you out in the singles tomorrow.
All right, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Now, Lance Pasco, the successful champion there of the men's pairs, along with Jamie Hill, taking down the Royal Oak pairing of Mike Bradshaw and John Carruthers in the men's pairs. It'll be now time for the men's singles to start tomorrow, along with women's pairs section play, and that'll be our focus as the Summerset Nationals continue here at Carlton, Cornwall.